Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Adrienne Montgomery. I'm a partner over at ERPVAR, and I'm so pleased to be joined today by our star partner, Clients First Business Solutions. We're going to be talking about project accounting today and how to automate all the processes for project accounting. So we're going to let everybody trickle in here for a minute, but wanted to talk about a case study that was nominated as the Acumatica Cloud ERP Customer of the Year while everyone's joining us here. And this is the same scenario as what we will be presenting to you today. In 60 days, this customer went from nothing in an ERP system in Acumatica to launching a $24 million company with 20,000 parts and 5,000 customers. So they had their sales orders, projects, inventory, payables, receivables live in an automated environment. So this customer is very, very pleased with the services that Clients First was able to provide. And we're going to be talking about some of the scenarios today. And I'm so pleased to also be joined by Christy Blass, Acumatica Application Consultant over at Clients First, and Nancy Philippi at Clients First Business Solutions. Christy, Nancy, I wondered if you might just be able to talk a little bit about Power Storage Solutions and the solution that you were able to implement in automating their project accounting processes.
With Power Storage Solutions, they were using, I want to say, 5 different systems. And so, like Adrienne said, we had 60 days to bring them all into one. So they're using project accounting, distribution, very heavy on KPIs and reporting. So I know that's made a tremendous impact for them. It's taken a lot less time to get the reports together. And it's also helped increase their bottom line very quickly.
Hey, Christy, this is Nancy. Aren't they implementing the services module too as a next step?
Mm-hmm. They are.
They're going to implement the field services in addition to projects.
Correct, and they do. That's basically quote to cash. They start with a quote all the way through, and it's cut down a lot of the administration work.
So thank you too for joining me today for this webinar, and we'll get right started here with the agenda. We're going to be talking about capturing all costs, change management tracking, time and expense management, and flexible billing and revenue recognition, and we'll go through a brief overview of Acumatica and Clients First. As you all know, project accounting and project management software are not the same thing. They can be intertwined, but both have distinct purposes. Today, we're going to be focusing on project accounting and the tools needed to ensure projects are profitable. So at least you can analyze the data to determine if they are profitable or not. Using the right tools and companies can determine if a customer and project are profitable. So we strongly believe that project accounting should be simple and act as an umbrella to capture all project costs, including labor, expenses, inventory, and even manufacturing costs if your business manufactures and then installs the end product at the customer location. So not all ERP systems have the functionality in an easy-to-use system needed to track all project costs. This presents a challenge for organizations where costs need to be tracked by project, billing rates vary by resource, or tax revenues need to be recognized by the percent complete, and changes to the project scope need to be communicated in real time to both internal and external team members. So complex programs for project costing are often not used due to the overhead required for data entry by team members and the time it takes to capture valuable time, expense, change orders, and even your inventory requirements. So before deciding on which application is right, we recommend analyzing your specific requirements with a business process analysis and determining the best solution for your entire business. Today, we will review the tools that can help you improve project accounting, profitability, and reduce those errors that we often see with manual keyed-in entry. So all of this is automated with the tools we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be talking about automating the tracking of all costs to projects and how that promotes profitability. We're going to be talking about flexible billing and revenue recognition for every situation, time and expense management with approval to be on time and on budget, and real-time integration to monitor and manage changes. So Acumatica's project accounting module addresses this need by seamlessly integrating your general ledger, AP, AR, inventory, purchase orders, sales orders, and time and expenses to automatically track project costs and budget. And if your business does quoting and then using a CRM, your team can start with a quote, add service lines, or better yet, pull in project templates from the quoting screen and submit for internal approval if need be before emailing the document to the client. So Christy is going to show us how easy it is to create a project quote and convert to a project with the CRM module of Acumatica Cloud ERP. So not all projects require a quote. So Christy's going to take us through that.
Hi, everyone. Okay, as you can see, I'm on my opportunities quick menu here. To create a project quote, I can click on one of the tiles in this workspace. It will take me directly to that screen. One thing about the tiles is you can add your own, you can edit the ones that are on there, they're configurable to what you need. I'm going to choose a project template right here, which will allow certain items on my quote as well as my project to default to the settings that are in the template. That can be billing rules, allocation rules, your account groups, the billing cycle, if it's billed on demand at the end of the month, or if it's a milestone billing. Now I can choose a project manager here. If I don't know the project manager, I can also select the project manager whenever this is converted to a project. And then I'm going to choose a business account. And one of the really cool things about a business account is it doesn't have to be a customer in your system. It can also be a prospect. As you can see, this one right here is a prospect. That's somebody that you may want to provide a quote for, but you don't want to necessarily take them through the whole credit approval process if your company has one. I'm going to select this business account. You can also select a specific contact if your business account has a contact, but you don't have to do that. This one that I chose does not have a contact. This date, the quote date, defaults to my system date, but I can also select an expiration date. And I'm going to enter a description for this quote. Install new hardware. So my estimation tab, this is where I'm going to select the items that I'm estimating for this project. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the plus sign for inventory ID. We're going to say we're assuming we will have consultant labor. Then you can enter your quantity. We'll go ahead and put it at 20 hours. And as you can see, the price defaults for you. You are able to edit these fields, but you can also make it where users are unable to edit these, or certain users are unable to edit these, and have it be view only. And then I will choose my project task. These tasks default from the template that I chose. So you only see the 3 tasks that are on that template. And then as you can see, it defaults the cost group as well as the revenue account group. I'm going to add another line and say we're going to have some project manager labor at 5 hours, same default settings, and then we're going to assign a task here. And now we're going to say we have a hard drive. I can choose one of the items here, and as you see, I'm typing in part of the description, which gives me the choices to choose from, or I can hit this magnifying glass, see the list of items. You can filter by any of the headers. You can also search in the box up here as well, whichever's easier for you. I find typing the descriptions to be much easier. I'm going to go ahead and choose that. And then we're going to say we're installing 5 of these. And then I'm going to click my project task here. And then as you see, you have your totals in the header, which will give you your total sales, total costs, and then your gross margin amount and percentage. If you needed to add a task that's not on the template, you don't have to start over or go create a new template. You are able to click on the project task tab here, and you can add a task to this quote so that you can choose it on your estimations. So say you have freight or a different task, if you wanted to break them up a little bit differently, but want the defaults from the template, or you may just need to add one task. It makes life a little bit easier when you're going through this. Then the billing info will default from the settings that are on your template as well as what's on your business account. That will pull over for you so you don't have to fill all of this in. And then you also have your shipping info, which defaults from your business account. If you need to, you can override this and enter different information for this one-time quote, or you have different locations that you're able to choose from to default. And then you have activities here. What the activities do is it'll track incoming and outgoing email, which is a really nice tool to use. We also have the Outlook integration. So if you create an opportunity or a quote from that, you can pull that email in, which is really nice. Once I hit save, it'll open up these options. So I can add an email, I can add an event, a task, which is also set to remind you if you choose to do that. You can also add different work items and choose whether you want to track time or not track time on that. And then it gives you your tax details if you have sales tax set up, and then you have attributes here. These are user-defined fields that will default for you. You can mark some of these during the setup process being required or not required. You can make this a text edit. You're able to choose from a list of options as well to populate those values for you. These are all where you can just enter the information. Okay, so I'm going to hit save, and what that's going to do is it's going to populate my quote number. And then as you can see, the status here is draft. And once I hit submit quote, if you have approval processes set up, that goes to pending approval, where the approver can then approve the quote, which will then kick the quote back to the owner. I do not have it set up here, so if I want to hit submit quote, that's going to go straight to being prepared. But there is one other really neat thing that I also wanted to show you, is I'm able to drag and drop documents over to the header of the quote, and then choose if I want that to come over to the project. So say you have pictures that you need to take or something of that nature. I can take this file and just drag it over and then let it go, and then you'll see that it has my file here. Another really neat thing is if you have an attachment on your email, you don't have to save your attachment and then drag it over. You can just pull it right over from your Outlook, and it'll drop that file in here. And you'll be able to find it in the system really easily. I'm going to go ahead and hit submit quote, and then you'll see that my status here is prepared. And then what I can also do is go over here and print the quote, which will pull that up, as you can see here, which is completely configurable for the information you want to see on your project quote. And then you can also send it as an email right from this screen. It will default to the default email you set up for this to be sent to, but you can also remove this. You can add a CC email here. It populates the subject, and then what we also do is set up the body of the email for you. So if you want default wording to say, dear, and then a blank, fill in the blank customer name, please see attached quote, valid until 2/28. Please let us know if you have any questions, and contact me at, and then you can have it fill in the salesperson or the owner's email address there. It can also attach your signature just as it would in Outlook. And then it'll have an attachment, a PDF copy of that quote. If you send that out from Acumatica and they reply and you have your email set up, it will track that incoming, outgoing email, which is a really, really nice thing to have. I'm going to go back over to my project quote. And then I went back too far. So here's my project quote here. What I'm going to do here is then convert this to a project, since it doesn't need to be approved. And when I convert this to a project, it's going to populate this dialog box here, where I can say, go ahead and populate the labor cost rate. I'm going to go ahead and activate the project. I can go ahead and activate the tasks. And then as you can see here, you can copy any notes over from your project that you may have in the header or the line. You can copy files to the project. So that file that I pulled over into the header, if I want to pull that over to the project, I can. And I can also link the activities that I have under my project quote here. I can have those linked back to the project. So you'll see it on the quote and the project. I'm going to hit OK here. And what this is going to do is then convert my project quote into a project. I don't have to rekey all that information in. It saves that information that's put on the quote. Fills in my summary tab here. And then you'll see my tasks right here, as well as my revenue budget pulled over and my cost budget pulled over here. Okay. And then you also have other tabs here that will be used throughout the project process. What I can do is, see, notice how it came over as active. I didn't have to do that. It could come over as being in planning. You can have your tasks not come over as active. Your tasks can come over as in planning as well. Okay, and that's what I have as far as converting this over to the project.
Thank you so much, Christy, for that. So what we're talking about there is project quote to sales order, and project should be at the click of a button. So if you're a manufacturer, you can create production orders to a project too. So time and expense entry is simple and convenient. Employees and subcontractors can enter time and expenses on any Apple or Android device using the Acumatica mobile app and attach photos of receipts. Approval workflows can be based on multiple criteria and multiple approvals on any internet-enabled device. So Christy's going to show us how to enter time approvals and see how dashboards help improve productivity. Thank you, Christy, for that.
Okay, back to me. So as you can see, I'm on my project screen. And one of the things I wanted to show you is you can assign specific approvers to a task should you choose. So when time is recorded or costs are recorded to this project, there's an approver that does have to approve this. Your approval process can be more than one step. So if you have your task approver approve time entries, time activities, expenses, it can go through them and then go through the project manager, or it can go first through the project manager and then the employees, maybe payroll supervisor, department supervisor, or you don't have to have any at all. So however you need that set up, you're able to do so. As costs are recorded to the project, you'll also see them on the balances tab here. Which is really nice because it's not flying blind. So whenever you're going through the life of the project, you can see your revenue and expenses and see how you're doing and make adjustments if need be. And it's not just at the end, surprise, we didn't do too hot. So that's another handy thing to have here. You can also see a list of all your commitments, your purchase orders, and create one directly from here. But right now we're going to go to the time and expense entry. So on the time and expense entry, I'm going to go ahead and add a new time card. I'm not going to save these changes because I had something pulled up in here. I'm going to hit the plus sign here, choose my project. And here I'm going to type in a description to help filter out my projects. You don't have to allow all employees to see all projects. It can be restricted and only employees see projects and tasks that they're assigned to. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this project, the one that we just created, and then I'm going to choose my task. So I'm going to do some project manager labor. Then we're going to say we spent 4 hours, which is pretty close to budget. So I hope I don't have too much left to do for this project. In the summary, you can put a description of the work and the time entry. So we will say, there we go, resource scheduling. Okay, then what I can do here is hit save for my time card. And then as you notice, the status is on hold. With the on hold status, the next step, well, I can record multiple time entries. And that will also create a summary here. So I'll be able to see a summary as far as all the time entries throughout the week for this project right here on this line, project and task. If I have different projects and tasks, they'll be on a different line. What I'm able to do here is come over and do Action Submit, and you will see that my status goes to pending approval. I'm set up as my own approver for this demonstration. If I wasn't, my time card would then get routed to the approver or the time activity. They can do it on a daily basis as well. And it would flag them to approve this time entry. It would come back to me being approved, or they can approve it and it also release. So in this situation, I'm going to go ahead and approve. And then after this, you'll see the status is approved, which then allows me to release that time card so that you'll see the cost flow to that project. So I'm going to go ahead and let this spin for a second. And then over on my projects, if I refresh my screen here, you will see your balances tab change. And so I can see that this amount was recorded here for labor. And then I can also hit view transactions here, and it'll show me what is completing that total there. So it's an easy way to look and see. And as you can see, you can scroll across here and there's a lot of information. Now, some people also have their costs maybe held into a WIP account. So you can have it go into that WIP account and then allocate that down to expense as needed, depending on how you need that to work. So then what I'm able to do here is also look at the different time entries for the time that has gone and hit this project. So if I wanted to look at task by employee, this is the task activity approver. So if I wanted to choose Maxwell Baker, I would be able to see the projects and the different tasks that they're set to approve here. So it's a quick little view. Another really nice thing is dashboards. So here's the project manager dashboard, a sample of it. And you have scorecards here that you can click on to take you to the detail that makes up that tile or chart or list here. They also change colors based on the settings that you have, your warning levels. So I have a lot of red here. That's not too good, but green is good. So if I wanted to click on this active projects, I can do that. And then I'll see all the active projects here. Now you can see the other tabs here that you're able to click on. You also have side panels, so you don't have to navigate to a ton of screens, which I personally hate doing. But if I wanted to look at one of the projects here and then just open up the side panel, I can do that without having to go all the way off the screen. And one of the really neat things about side panels is you can have multiple icons down here. So if I wanted to click on project and see all the commitments on one, I could add that tile underneath, that icon underneath. If I wanted to see the customer record on that project, or maybe all the employee time entries for that project, it makes your life so much easier. And on the quick tabs, these actually function as if you're on that screen yourself. You're able to change fields on here. You can print reports, all kinds of stuff. You can add new records. So it's really nice to have. You can expand this to full screen, or you can even minimize it back down and then change your ratio from grid to side panel. And these are probably one of my favorite things that has been released lately. So if I want to go back to my dashboard, I can do that by hitting the back arrow. And then if I want to see my late project task, I can click on that and it'll show me that. And again, see, there's side panels here. So you're able to drill down and look at the information that makes up this. You can also see there's charts right here that you're able to hover over and get totals, as well as drill down to find out what makes up the information here. And then expense versus budget, actual active projects. You can look at information, just a real quick snapshot. Or if I was waiting on if any of items were waiting for my approval, it would also show here. So this is the project manager dashboard. Another cool dashboard is the project consultant. So they're only going to see information specifically towards them. So they're not going to see everything the project manager would see. They may only see the projects and or tasks that they're assigned to, information pertaining just to them. So I can actually show you that one. I click on this. So these are my assigned projects, my open timesheets. You can even highlight these red if, hey, this is due at 9 a.m. and it's 9:05 a.m. Make this row a different color. There's links that they can click on to take them to a screen and even have some of the information default as needed. And then as you can see, tiles here. So it's a really, really handy tool. I love dashboards. I love the KPIs and the side panels because you can make your life so much easier by using these. Show you the time card on the mobile app, which is really, really handy. I'm going to click on my Acumatica app. I've entered my password already, so I'm able to use my fingerprint to sign on. And if I come over here to employee time cards, you can see I have one entry. I can then click on this time card right here and see the details that I have so far. I've got my summary. I can click on this to get further details, or I can go to details here. I'm going to add a new one and then add. This is just telling me my time card is set to be normalized at 45 hours. I can just dismiss this right now. I'm going to choose my project and I can search right here, 035. You don't have to type the whole project ID, it'll filter. Click my project. And then as you can see, I have the same tasks that I set up. I'm going to go ahead and click this task. Then I'm going to choose my time spent. We'll go ahead and say 2 hours. Then I have my summary here. Hopefully your summary is a little bit more descriptive, but for time's sake, I'm going to keep it short. And you can scroll down and see there's additional information here. You can also click your paperclip up here in the upper right hand corner to attach something if you want. And the cool thing about that is if you attach it, you can choose from gallery or camera, and then it will also save that and you'll see it on Acumatica on the web as well as in the mobile app. Okay, and at this point though, I'm done with my time entry. I can just go back, shows me my 2 entries. I can go back again, and then I can just save this right here. Pretty nifty little thing to have. Another option that you also have is you have several options on the app itself. We can go in here and also add an expense receipt. And then I'm going to hit this plus sign. I have several that are in here. Oops. And then it will open this up. I can type a description. As my date, I can choose my expense item that this should fall under. This would be business dinner and lunch. I can choose my project. My magnifying glass, choose my project task, and we'll just go ahead and add one for my expenses. Shame on me, but I'm going to go ahead and choose that one for now. And then what I can do is also choose the camera option. And ooh, that was zoned in. I can then take a picture of the receipt. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just save this as is. Not a very good picture, but it gets the point across. I can then also save this expense receipt and then just go on about my business. So I don't have to be at a computer. I don't have to be at a desk. I don't have to go and open up my laptop, which is something that comes in really handy, especially for those on the move. So there's really no reason to enter your time as you go, no reason not to enter your time as you go or your expenses as you go. It's really quick to do. All right, and that's it. Sorry I left that part out. Back to you, Nancy.
Thanks, Christy. The mobile app is a really nice tool for project employees or project staff to have. It really helps to improve your project management and costing. So let's talk a little bit about change orders. Change orders are, tracking those can be a nightmare. Having a process in place for change orders is really a must. And having an Outlook or email integration also can come in very handy when documenting change orders. And you know, being able to attach the customer's email and say, you know, here's what you committed to, and adding that to the project with the cost is super important. So you can also define workflows and approval processes to release those change orders, so you have a full audit control. In addition, you know, frequently what we're asked, and Christy can attest to this as well, that, you know, when we're talking to clients, they always ask, can I purchase inventory from the project or tie my inventory purchases to a particular project? And we're like, absolutely, the answer is yes. And you should be able to, in any system that you evaluate for your project accounting, be able to tie a purchase order to the specific project. So you can also assign it to like a specific task, such as an installation. And when the purchase order is received, the documentation online, if you're paperless, or the paper itself, is going to show that it has a project commitment to it. So it won't get, you know, absorbed into someone else's project, perhaps, unless you so desire. So all the associated costs for purchasing are assigned to the project. So your inventory, perhaps you have subcontractors, that sort of thing. All of those can absolutely be associated with your project. So just a little highlight, Christy's going to show how she's going to show the integrated procurement for us real quick. Thanks, Christy.
Okay, so on to commitments. As you can see, I'm on my project screen, and under the commitment tab, you have a button here that says create purchase order. You can click that button. It'll take you directly to the purchase order screen, saving you a couple steps. Choose your vendor. I'll go ahead and select this one. You can enter a PO description. And then hit the plus button, just double click, whichever's easier for you. To add a line, we're going to choose the item that we're purchasing. There we go. We'll fill in our line description for us, as well as the default warehouse. And I'm going to go ahead and order 3 of these. And I can choose my project. And then you can use the magnifying glass to choose your task. Or what you can also do is just start typing. Let me click off of this and start typing. If you don't know the task number of material, part of the description. Okay, hit save up here. You'll see that the status is on hold. If I take it off hold, if you have an approval process in place, it'll go to pending approval. Since I am my own approver here, I could go up to actions and approve purchase order. And then what that does is it has the checkbox that approved and your status is open. You can also set conditions for purchase orders. If it's a certain vendor class, it needs approval. If it's over a certain amount, it needs approval. They don't all have to necessarily follow the approval process. You're allowed to have conditions in there. If I go back to my project screen, and we want to look at the balances so you can see the cost. Over on the project mini P&L, you'll see that flow through under the committed amounts here. Another really cool thing about the screen is you can also, if you want to click on one of the lines and view commitment details, you're able to check that out directly from the screen. So it just saves you some hunting around in the system, and you can look at the information here. As you add costs to the project, it will update this balances tab or the project P&L. You can also, like I said before, have a WIP account set up so your purchases can go into that WIP account, and then it allocates down to your COGS either upon invoice release or when you choose to do that, whatever works for your company. And that's all I have to show you on purchase orders. And oh, one more thing. If you click on commitments, this will show you a list of commitments. So the status, if it's open, if it's completed, meaning it's been received, if it's closed, meaning it's been all the way through the AP bill. So everything you really need to see here, for the most part, you can find in the screens. It makes it a little bit easier getting around. Back to you, Nancy. All right, thanks.
Oh, sorry, Christy. Thank you very much, Christy. So as you can see, it's very important to be able to have commitments, purchasing commitments, subcontractor commitments to your projects, add to your projects. Most of the clients that we work with want a simple project accounting tool. And I believe so far what you've seen from us is fairly simple project accounting tool. That seems to be the preference for even some of the larger companies that we work for. So we know that the tool should be easy and simple, but we also know that billing can be complex. So, and I apologize, I'm a little hoarse. So you need to have some cost plus, fixed price, time and materials, milestone billing, and then a lot of clients have really contract specific pricing. So it's very important that the tool you use has a variety of billing scenarios. What you're doing now today may not be what you're doing and a year from now. You also should be able to define billing by your customer or the type of work being performed. And you need the ability to allocate overhead and shared expenses to projects, including billable and non-billable. You may have some items that are used across projects that you need to allocate. So Christy, would you take a minute and show us a little bit on how to create a quick invoice?
Okay, invoicing for a project. It's super, super simple. What we do during implementation is we configure your billing rules, time and material, fixed price, milestone billing, however you need those set up. So what I'm going to do here is go over to my revenue budget, and I have my material task set up to its progress billing. It's a fixed price. And then I also have some time and material tasks set up here. As well. So as you can see, I've got 50% completed in my material line. The pending invoice amount shows right here, 250. And then you also cost plus. You set the rules on the rate and the markup based either off customer, task, the employee, just global altogether. It's very, very flexible, and it can get really granular as well. I'm going to go up here and do run project billing. Click on that. It will generate my invoices. Typically, if there's one invoice generated, depending on your settings, that'll pop open your pro forma invoice screen. However, since I have time and material that needs to be invoiced from my employee time card, I'm going to have that one right here. And then I'm going to also have this other invoice here for my materials. And you also determine how you want the system to pull for the description of your invoice. So if I click on my pro forma invoice here, you don't necessarily have to have the pro forma step, but it's really awesome because you can catch any mistakes. Click on time and material, and you see my line for my time card that I entered here for the consultant. I can just take this off hold, hit release, and then what that will do is create the AR invoice. So it gives me one more step to view everything here and make sure it's right. I can also then go over here and look at my progress billing for my material. So you can see here the invoiced amount, and then you can make any changes. You can look at any approval details. You can look at the address details. You don't have anything on the time and material here, but if you wanted those pulled in together, this can invoice. It doesn't have to be two separate invoices. In this situation, I do have it as two separate. But as I mentioned before, you can also forego the pro forma invoice step should you choose. Then I'm going to close this. As you release your invoices, you will start to see your revenue budget increase on your balances tab. And super simple. Anybody can, I don't want to say anybody can really do it, but it's easy to bill from projects and choose if you're going to allocate from WIP to COGS, and then also look at the pro forma invoice, or you can choose not to create that pro forma on billing. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christy, for that. So as you all could see, projects created in Acumatica can be passed over to smart tools like Smartsheet for scheduling of resources, including adding subtasks, creating dependencies, and changing start-end dates. So any change to dates are passed back to Acumatica, and time and expense reporting and PO requisitions are done through the Acumatica mobile app. So project costing and reporting is all done in Acumatica. So the key features are past project templates moved automatically, and we can quickly capture project information and offer real-time dashboard updates right there in the Acumatica interface. So why Acumatica? So Nancy, I'm going to go ahead and let you talk to this slide. And let me unmute you. There you go.
Thanks. Let's see if I have my voice back. So thank you, Adrian. So why Acumatica? Well, it's one of the, I've been selling ERP software for 20 years, and it's one of the easiest and best solutions that I've encountered. And it's simple, tracking projects. You can get buy-in from your staff, your employees like the simplicity of it. You can get, of course, as you've seen, a complete view of all your project-related costs. Acumatica also has an unlimited user access license, and so everyone can have access. They can use their mobile, they can use their desktop, etc. And then again, as in the case of Power Storage Solutions, they're going to be adding field services so that they can, after they've done a project installation, they can, set up a contract in field services or whatnot, and then continue to do maintenance, or, send up reminders, hey, their battery's dying, is a year old, you need to get back out there and check in with them, or something to that effect. Christy knows more about that account for sure than I do, but you can invoice with total confidence. You're not, if your customers want to see, hey, I'd kind of like to see an audit trail of these expenses or whatnot, you certainly have it, and you can complete your recognize your revenue on percentage or task progress. You're not restricted, and it also enables you to get control of your budgets. And as you've seen, if with the availability to everyone, there's no reason why you should not be able to get control of your budgets and see your change orders, see your cost as they're coming in. And as Christy showed, she loves the BI tools and the dashboards within Acumatica, and actually is really good at designing those as well. So if you're interested, that is why I would look at Acumatica. Adrian?
And I just wanted to just review real quick, Power Storage Solutions. They came off of 5 different ERP solutions, just like Christy was mentioning, and they had a real problem because they were they were spinoff, right, of Interstate Battery. So they had to use Interstate Batteries, as I understand it, 5 different ERP systems, which were NetSuite, Davisware, for service management. So the problem was they didn't have that integration. They didn't have that real-time data, right? So, and you guys were able to get them up and running in 60 days, taking all the data out of those ERP systems and putting it into Acumatica. So that was extremely helpful for them because they only had a 6-month window to get off all of those 5 ERPs and get off and running on something that they could use as their ERP system. The Acumatica was an ideal tool for them because of the speed it took to get everything going in Acumatica. Is that correct, Nancy?
Yes, it is correct. Christy may have something to add there.
That's all correct. Another thing it also helped manage were they have several battery fees, depending on voltage and the customers and the state they live on. So we were able to automate that as well, which they were missing battery fees quite a bit in their old system because they relied on users to remember to enter it and choose the right one. That was a big time saver too.
Thank you for that. And then, so here's the contact information for Clients First. We'd love to hear from you. So you can email us at info@cfbs-us.com or call us at 800-331-8382. And I just want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy day to join us. We know your time is hard to come by. We really appreciate you spending it with us. And everybody enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much, Christy and Nancy, for your excellent presentation. We really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Everyone have a great day.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.